Hello everybody, today I just wanted to go over a new strat that some of you guys may have seen, but if you didn't know, there is a really, I wouldn't say necessarily easy, but there is a way for you to now AFK for the most part when it comes to the Lucilius fight. As you can see on screen, basically demonstrating the Steam controller, the Lancelot make it easier cheat strat that a couple people have been trying when it comes to the new fight. Now, as a disclaimer, whether or not you choose to actually use this or choose to do this, that's completely up to you, but ultimately this does number one, save your wrists if you've been farming this a lot, and number two, save you active playing time hours. Now again, if you're trying to go for speed clears, this is not necessarily what you'd want to be doing, but in case if you are at work, at school, doing something else, taking a shower, anything in between, and you want to boot up a run, this is pretty straightforward. So first and foremost, as you can see here, all that my character Lancelot is doing alongside my AI is spamming the twin blade dash, like basically Lancelot's heavy attack. I am essentially using the iframe from Lancelot's heavy attack to dodge infinitely. I have nimble onslaught and flight over fight, or in order to maximize my dodge potential. It doesn't really matter if you choose to complete or not complete this punishment. Even if you're at 1 health, being at 1 health does obviously put you at greater risk of getting a one shot, but ultimately because you are essentially, I guess, always in perfect dodge form or always have invincibility, there's no real reason for you to need health. So in that sense, if you want a faster clear, that's fine. But if you're AFK, just keep in mind that you will likely or very likely not die anyways. If you do end up taking a lethal amount of damage, part of the reason why the team that I took was or includes Cagliostro is because Cagliostro also has a lot of supportive and or healing capabilities that I took as her skills. I'll go over the builds of what exactly I took on my AI, on my Lancelot, and what skills I took on all the characters. Although I will say that for Eugen and Zeta, these two characters are kind of interchangeable. I like Eugen number one because he's ranged, and he does have, like, as you can see there, a bit more of a likelihood, or he's a little bit more likely to hit these orbs during this phase if they're further. But generally speaking, again, you don't even need to clear any of these phases. You'll end up just beating it anyways. But Zeta I chose specifically because from what I noticed while testing her damage, she does an insane amount of damage, pretty much incomparable to anyone else. This is basically how I've been playing out a lot of my AI runs when I've been trying to test this specific strat out. I will be honest with you guys, though I've done it a couple times, I do like the thrill and, like, kind of, you know, the activeness of playing Granblue Fantasy because, I don't know, I'm just addicted to the game. That's just how it is. So I have been doing a lot of this stuff either like online with people on stream, etc. But hopefully after this video, if you do manage to have AI geared or you have Lancelot, it should be a breeze for you, or you shouldn't be struggling too much anymore. But that being said, again, if you are struggling with it, I would definitely recommend you try and use AI or try build up an AI team. Nowadays, especially with, you know, them basically giving you the catch-up packs or the or now being given like Azurite Splendors from farming this fight, especially if you're having a tough time farming it as opposed to just getting your first clear, I would definitely recommend running an AI team because the AI team is really good at dodging a lot of things. You'll notice that my AI, none of my AI have essentially taken any damage or any damage whatsoever. But if I just skip through, because obviously I don't want to sit here through the entirety of it, it ends up being about obviously I had a little bit of input because I wanted to do some of the earlier, you know, some of the earlier mechanics, but it ends up being somewhere closer to a 9 or 10 minute run, assuming you don't touch anything. Which is kind of a difference, but ultimately you can only AFK 10 runs anyways. But that was the clear. Now let me tab over or switch over to the build so I can kind of show you exactly what I have in my characters. Here's the build that I have for my characters. I've got an alpha and a beta, which of course can just be replaced with normal damage caps and stuff like nimble onslaught or quick cooldown, cascade, etc. If you're struggling specifically with doing the fight actively, this build is not for you, because ultimately what I've kind of built up here is a comp that does a lot of damage, specifically when all you have pressed down is the heavy attack button. In other words, your twin dragon dance. But in any case, yeah, I've got my war elemental, my 3 supplementary damage 5s. I don't have any pluses. I have stamina with nimble onslaught, critical hit rate with nimble onslaught, and I've got a white dragon's glory alongside tyranny. If you want to swap out the glory for the increased range on the dodge, that's also fine, but I didn't find there to be much of a difference between White Dragon's Oath and the damage that I was receiving. So for me, I was a little bit more careful to try and hit damage cap because Flight over Fight and the additional damage caps that you gain from alpha and beta and the gammas do start to add up. Personally, I did not actually find myself to be hitting damage caps specifically on a few skills like max, well, I should say for Blade Impulse and for some of my max like flurry attacking. So with that in mind, I decided to invest in a White Dragon's Glory. However, it would be better for me if I had just gotten Combo Booster. So if you want to change out the Dragon's Glory, that's totally fine. But this is the Lancelot build. In terms of my skills, it shouldn't matter because I'm literally not using any other skills. And if you wanted to min-max a little bit, you could, in theory, use less is more, and then, again, get rid of all your skills because you're not using any of them, and just have your one dash do infinite damage. But for the AI, I've got essentially the same cookie cutter build for every single character. If we look at Cagliostro, she's got basically max crit once I get her mastery fixed up and ready. She's got a little bit of stun power because I like breaking, but again, doesn't really matter because I'm not really linking together or anything for here. We've got Tyranny with quick cooldowns, damage caps with cascading quick cooldowns as well. An uplift, I found that at least having one uplift is kind of nice, but again, you're not really doing anything here and you're kind of just trying to survive. So having a lot of damage is, in my opinion, better, but I don't think the build itself matters too much. I've got Nimble Onslaught, linked together, damage caps, like all these are fine. Zeta has less is more, also a stun power. She's basically just trying to do as much damage as possible. If you didn't know, Zeta without any skills does an insane amount of damage, especially when piloted by the AI, relative to all the other AI. And then Eugen, something similar to everything else. He's got linked together the damage caps, the supplementary damage 5. I will very quickly, again, just show off all like the builds that I have for them. But in reality, it's not that big a deal. If you want, you can include auto revive or guts on some of the characters, but generally speaking, they don't get hit, so that's totally fine. Eugen has Disruptor, Sumrak, Venom, and armor piercing rounds. Some of these skills can be transferred around, but I found the most important thing to be the Sumrak alongside the armor piercing rounds. Whatever else you include is kind of neither here nor there, but the defense down from the Venom grenade is sometimes helpful, especially if you're not hitting cap for whatever reason. Zeta, again, no skills, and then Cagliostro. The skills that I found to be the most helpful were the Restore and the Rizomata. Your AI, though mostly good, is not always perfect, and so in those cases, it always helps to, number one, have the healing. Phantasmagoria, obviously you have the attack, defense, and critical hit rate increase. In all honesty, if I'm looking at the skills of Cagliostro, not a lot of these skills look like they'd be that significant, especially when the AI aren't really that great, and you're kind of just wanting to make sure that your runs get cleared no matter what. So in that case, especially for Cagliostro, I prioritized specifically AFK or, you know, like buffing to my team. Even this one, like this launch, doesn't really do much. But whatever skills you choose to do, that's totally fine. These are the ones that I chose. And finally, as a bit of a disclaimer, when it comes to what skills or what you should be using for the sigils and stuff, of course, the reason why I have alpha is because, you know, it increases my normal attack damage. But I do think that the double gamma is actually really nice. Now, obviously, you don't gain any of these effects, but again, having more damage cap and just for future-proofing purposes, if you do end up getting the double gamma, in my opinion, that those two or these two sigils, or I guess the sigil multiplied by 2, is what I consider to be the highest value, at least for general purposes. There are some characters, again, that will end up wanting alpha or beta, and farming for it is probably why a lot of you guys are here. But I just want to remind you guys that especially if you're trying to do a lot of early farming, you don't need to max out your gammas early, especially if you're going to be maxing them to 30. And this is the same case for alpha and beta. In any case, if we go down to the actual nitty gritty of how to have this or set up the controller, all you have to do to get to the screen is press this controller setting thing at the bottom. And if I click the controller settings, you click edit layout. And so long as you have, I guess in this case, you click the cogwheel here, go to settings, and turn on the hold to repeat turbo. Increase or decrease the repeat rate as you like, but I found 150 to be the best. And then include toggle. This is basically how your Lancelot will continuously, endlessly spam the dodge attack. Whether you choose to do this or not, if you end up doing this in online play, just keep in mind that there are players around you. So if you want to do this in a private instance, or if you're doing this with your AI, feel free to do whatever you want because you're not inhibiting anyone. But the general rule, especially in Granblue Fantasy, is that if you are playing online, be courteous to others. There are probably going to be players that actually want to do the fight and want you to contribute more than just a dash. So if you end up doing this online, don't just dash endlessly. This is my PSA to you. You will definitely probably get yelled at a little bit, or it'll be frowned upon, especially if people are trying to go for speed clears. Keep that in mind when you're doing this tactic. That's basically the new strat that a lot of people are using, especially alongside AI and in private parties in order to clear. A lot of people are doing this AFK, especially because you can't really AFK or, you know, endlessly repeat without, you know, needing to pay attention at all if you're doing it online. So a lot of people are doing this offline, and if you're doing that, that's totally fine. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all that I've got when it comes to this kind of new Lancelot tech, or this new Lancelot strat if you're trying to farm out stuff. I've been having a load of fun when it comes to Lucilius, farming out Lucilius. Again, the fight itself, I will say, beyond anything, beyond farming, beyond anything else, is very exciting. It's a little tough, a little challenging, but I think that's definitely what a lot of people have been looking for, especially because we basically had a month of people AFKing through different fights, or by fighting the Proto-Bahamut. In any case, though, guys, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned something. If you did, make sure to like, comment, turn the notification bell, and subscribe. Let me know what kind of video you want to see next, anything you want me to cover. By all means, feel free to leave it in the comment section. I read all your comments, guys. I really appreciate it so much. Thank you again for watching. Thank you for supporting all the content, the streams, everything that I've done so far, especially with Granblue. Hope to see more content. Hope to see more of you guys in the future. If you need help, again, make sure to check out the rest of my socials. Feel free to DM me, post in any of the social tabs, whatever. And I'll catch you all next time. Adios.